Well, you wouldn't know it by the weather today, but just a few days ago here in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, it was raining and storming pretty badly, which was the first day I was here with Doug Sewell at Sewell Motor Coach. It did throw a little bit of a wrench in my plans. Now, it's not impossible for an RV technician to work in the rain, but Doug decided that we're going to go on a road trip, and we loaded up in his car and we drove down to Nashville, Tennessee to the National Indoors there. Well, it's a new National Indoor RV Center, and we picked up this 2020 Entegra Cornerstone. I wish I could say it wasn't raining in Tennessee when we got there, but it was still raining just as bad in Tennessee. I was able to do a pretty decent inspection despite the rain and make sure that National Indoor did represent this beautiful coach correctly. Now, it was my understanding when Doug took me was that I was going to go ahead and drive this back and he would just follow me in his vehicle. Once he went ahead and paid for it, Doug had a change of heart and he decided he wanted to drive it back, and I just drove his vehicle back and followed him. The drive back was a little bit longer than I planned on it being, but it was a full day travel from Harrodsburg, Kentucky to Nashville and back to Harrodsburg again. It was a beautiful drive, and by the time we got back, the rain had luckily stopped. Now, this is a 2020 Entegra Conerstone, which is a top-of-the-line luxury motorhome. I guess these are pretty near and dear to Doug's heart because he already owned one of these before he started selling RVs, and I think that's why he wanted to drive it back. I've no doubt that Doug's already going to put a video together on the walkthrough of this, and I know I've inspected a number of Entegras with you guys, so I wanted to try to do something a little bit different with this video. I figured rather than doing a walkthrough on this Cornerstone or doing a roof inspection with you guys, I'd show you the 5 things that I like or that I was surprised by when I did the inspection on it. Now, the first thing is actually on the front end right here. These little sea lights, they're quite iconic to the Entegra brand, and I've never actually seen them lit up at night. I accidentally left them turned on, and when I was walking around the dealership at night, I was really surprised how charming and interesting I found those lights to be. And they're not just the front ones, they have red lights around the tail lights on the back. And I know they're just lights, but it's nothing to have to add, and it did add a lot more charm than I expected them to add. And I can't deny seeing the Entegra lit up on the front and on the back at night would make me proud as an owner. All right, let me go ahead and open this up. And turn the battery on and turn the lights on. I love having a master on switch for all the lighting inside here. I was pleased to see that we had, looks like cherry wood. I'm sure somebody knows what kind of wood it actually is, but all the wood inside here is real solid wood, including this massive solid wood pocket door here in the bedroom. Now, while it looks like it's high gloss finish, I would call it more of a semi-gloss finish, which in 2020 seems to be a little bit out of character. Now, even though I'm back here in the full bathroom, and I swore I wasn't going to do a tour of the 2020 Cornerstone like this, I did want everybody to see how pretty it was. All the fixtures are that rose gold, so they're not chrome and they're not gold. But what I did want to point out was something that I didn't realize that Entegra did, and that's going to be the second thing that I was really impressed by. And it's kind of awkward for me to say because you guys know how much I don't like power shades. Because when you're sitting at the dinette booth there or at the sofa right there, you don't want to find all the buttons for the shade, you just want to grab the shade. But if I go ahead and turn the shades and close them all up right there, you can see all the front shades are coming down, shades over the sofas are coming down. And yes, those night shades create a very nice privacy curtain, keeps the sun out and keeps people from looking inside. But, you know, at night you're going to need to go out the front door, and this is kind of awkward to open the door and then having to lift up the shade to walk out the door, or walking all the way back to here and then figuring out, okay, what shade do I want to do? Entry shade, up, oh, entry, night shade, up. Yeah, that could be annoying. I hope everybody appreciates how annoyed I'd be by that too. I'm annoyed for everybody else. But if I go ahead and go back to that shade and I close it again, what Entegra did do, so you didn't have to do that walking back and forth each time, right over here behind the passenger seat, it says entry shades. So if you do need to go out at night, you can just hit that button right there, and that'll open up the shade for you. Now, if you look at it closely, It does say entry shades on it. So if I did have the entry shade, the day shade closed, which is also the visor for the passenger seat over there. They have controls for it. But of course, those controls get just as confusing for me because they're not really labeled right here which one is which. Okay, it's the middle one. So rather than having to decide which one that is, if I just hit the entry shades right there, that'll open up the day shade also. Now maybe it's not really that impressive to a lot of people, but that's the second thing that I do appreciate that Entegra did think through, because if I was trying to go in and out at night and I had a struggle finding the shade buttons for going in and out of the door, I'd find that'd be quite annoying. I'd probably just rip that whole thing down and put up a manual shade. So good on you, Entegra. Now while we're still standing right here with the one-touch control, one thing I did not realize, if I go to the home right there and I go to inverter, you can turn the inverter on and off by pushing that button right there. It's pretty straightforward, right? So we'll go ahead and start the inverter. So now the refrigerator will turn on because we're not plugged in. But unlike a lot of manufacturers, they don't have a setup menu for going through the inverter directly as a hot button on the screen here. And I found it to be a little bit frustrating for another reason when we get to reason number 5. But what I discovered from Doug is if I push and hold the inverter button right there, it comes up with that screen. So we can manually change all the settings on the 2 inverters, because this does have 2 inverters in it, and these are Magnum inverters. So we can go through there and set every feature that we want on the inverter. I was not aware of that. That was interesting fact number 3 on this Entegra Cornerstone, but we're still here. I'll give you a 3.5 one. Entegra does have a toolbox button right there, and you can go ahead and add or delete like macro buttons. So if you do want to change any sort of lighting setup on here, we could select or deselect any of the above to create or remove custom utilities. I think that's kind of the biggest advantage of having a one-touch system like this or a multiplex system like that. So rather than having to use the button setup that Entegra came up with, as an owner, you can customize this for the hot buttons that make sense for you as an owner and not for the engineers at Entegra or even the technicians like myself. That was a fun little extra bonus that I found of things that Entegra did that I did like. Now this countertop is real stone, and Entegra does their 4 sink covers right here, and I can tell you it's a good thing there are 4 of them. This is heavy. I'm really concerned that they didn't really think about how heavy this sink cover is. And if you were to drop that on your foot or on your toe, you might be saying a lot more than ow. As silly as it is, I do like how Entegra has a little hidden hidey place right here for the entertainment center in the mantel place of the fireplace. I don't know. I think that's just clever. You know I love indirect lighting too. But number 4 on here is going to be right at the driver's seat. Let me go ahead and close the door. So now this is built on a Spartan K3 chassis, and this is equipped with push to start. With the digital dash. On the sides of the steering wheel, the smart wheel, we have tilt over here, so I'll lower this thing out of the way so we can see a little bit better. I wasn't aware of this. Doug had to show it to me. I would never have dug this far into the chassis system like this. I'm sure a lot of people already were aware of this. I know that there's a steering wheel button right there, and just like on a Newmar, you have a comfort steer control, so you can make it very effortless to drive down the road. That I knew about, but the 4th thing that I didn't know about on this Cornerstone was that even though this has equalizer 4-point automatic leveling system on it, we all know that in electric vehicles, air leveling is the true gold standard of leveling. And this Spartan chassis does have air leveling on it too. So if I just hit that exit button, I can rotate this around. It says suspension leveling pressed for options. So if I just push down on that, I can go to travel or auto level right there. And now it'll use the airbags built into the suspension to level the RV without putting jacks down. Yeah, as a technician, I probably should have known that, but I didn't know that. But I'm glad Doug was able to tell me about that because he's an owner and he knew about it. Now, not only can you level the RV with air system, but if I go ahead and push the option button again, I can go to exit auto, push it again, and I can go to more. can see I can get a much bigger display over here. I can manually level it. I can go to travel here. I can go to high ride right there. I put it into high ride mode. It's difficult to see, but the whole body is lifting up off the axle there. As you can see it lifting up right here also, which gives you increased ground clearance, especially on the back end here, which means you're not going to be dragging the hitch when you're entering or exiting a very steep driveway. As you can see, Doug has a whole bunch of scars on the front of his roadway here on the highway from the RVs entering and exiting. Even a lot more of them coming up the drive right here. Being able to put that Cornerstone in the high rise, you don't have to worry about dragging your hitch and damaging the back end of the motorhome. I've seen caps drag before too, but also saves your driveway too. And hopefully you can see just how much space is right here. That's a lot of ground clearance from the fender and of course underneath. All right, let's go ahead and turn this engine off. All right, that's pretty cool too. The lights up. That was a cool feature number 4. I don't even touch on the 360 bird's eye camera that this 2020 Cornerstone is equipped with, because I love them. Doug and I had a big conversation about how much more useful those bird's eye view cameras are than the side view cameras could ever hope to be. But we won't talk about that right now. Whew, this really is beautiful. But if you remember back here on this one-touch control from Entegra, when I was talking about the inverter, I wanted to get to the settings on it because if you watch some of my inspection videos on these Entegras, you know that I'm not a big fan of where they put the house batteries. Because first and foremost, I am a RV technician. But I knew as soon as I opened up this right here and I saw a Victron Energy battery monitor, I was going to be happy with what I found, which is 4 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate batteries, which was a wonderful find for me because I think lithium batteries are probably the way to go in an RV like this. And if you look over the top there, you can see that shunt, which goes to the Victron Energy battery display. So I just wanted to make sure that they had the inverter settings correct, and I was really pleased when I found that they did. Because the 2 Magnum inverters are the hybrid inverters, and if we look just past right there, that smart display uses RV CAN bus, and there's a bridge right here that allows these inverters to talk to that one-touch display on the inside as your remote panel, because there's not a Magnum remote panel in this RV. And if you look at it, they have upgraded it so it is lithium compatible. And while of course I do love the lighting that Entegra does use in the basement here, including the underslide lighting here on both or all the slide out boxes, more indirect lighting is always good. I thought I would just take the time to show you about 5 things that I liked about this 2020 Cornerstone that we picked up in Nashville, Tennessee from the National Indoor there. It's a shame I didn't get to drive it back. Hopefully Doug finds another one for me to drive across country again, and then we can find 5 more things to like about them. But thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you have any other questions, I'm sure Doug Sewell with Sewell Motor Coach is going to have a video out about this 2020 Cornerstone. Don't hesitate to go to his channel and watch it. I'm tired. I got to hit the airport now. All right, one more honorable mention while we're in here. Overall, this is not a very uncommon floor plan. I've seen this in a lot of different manufacturers, especially with the refrigerator right here. But Entegra did discover that they had a little bit of found space right alongside the refrigerator. And they manufactured a tiny little broom closet, which is a lot more useful than I think you ever would think it would be. Because putting a broom away is a lot more difficult in an RV than you think it should be. Especially the only place you can normally put is in your closet in the back, and who wants a dirty broom next to your clothes? Thanks for letting me visit again, Doug. Had a great time. I'm sure one day everybody here will get sick of me. Now, speaking for myself, I can just express that I had a wonderful time. I spent a week here with Doug Sewell and his crew at Sewell Motor Coach. And if you do make it out to Kentucky, I do highly recommend coming here at the end of March or the beginning of April. It's just idyllic. You'd never know a dealership's just a few feet away. You have any troubles in life backing up to something like this. Cow. 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 What kind of trees are all white like that? I asked Doug and a few of his guys what all these trees with the white flowers were, and they didn't know, so maybe you guys will know. It's just beautiful.